All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here. I'm Alana Davis, your host and meetup organizer, and I work with e-commerce shops to remove friction from the buying process. My focus is really on rescuing Shopify websites, making them more effective and attracting more visitors, providing better SEO, and increasing conversion rates at a fraction of the cost of a full redesign. I just don't believe in the cost of a full redesign. Sorry, Jess, I know that we're at odds with that. Um, so here is a quick look at our agenda for today. The webinar is currently being recorded, so I am hoping that everything works. You just never know sometimes with Zoom. But if everything works, I will be sharing the recorded video in the next day or so. So that is definitely the plan for those who might have to leave early. If there's a lot of great content you can't take notes on, don't worry, it'll be recorded. But we do have a lot to cover, so I want to go ahead and just jump right in. First, a little bit of love to our sponsors. So Shopify is more than just an e-commerce solution. You can sell anywhere to anyone with Shopify's e-commerce platform and point of sale features. Also, shout out to Jason LD for SEO that helps your store win rich results in Google search, getting you more organic search traffic that converts better, all without having to fight for better rankings or paying constantly for ads. I'm going to go ahead and share some of these links in the chat for you as well, so that if you want to learn more about them, you can. All right, so upcoming events, I'm actually going to be taking a break from events for the summer. I feel like many folks are going to be itching to get away from their computer during the summertime. So we're going to take a little break. We'll come back September, October timeframe. But if you do have any specific topics or areas that you'd like for us to explore, please share with me in the feedback request that you're going to get in the next day or so. This really helps me to know that I'm providing the content that you actually want to participate in, but then also it helps me know what's working well or not, so that we can continue to provide a valuable resource. And then if you haven't already joined us on the Facebook group, I'll add that link in there as well. Please do join us if you have any questions. You don't have to wait for these events to happen every month or so to be able to ask questions. All right. Without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce our speaker for today. Jessica Grossman is the founder and CEO of InSocial. So welcome, Jess.
Sorry, I have so many different windows open. Got to make sure I'm clicking the right things, not showing you all my tabs because I have too many. That's what I say every time I get on a new screen share. I'm like, ignore my tabs. So let me click present. Let me share my screen. All right. So, hi everyone. Alana, thanks for having me here today. Very excited to talk about the full circle approach to digital marketing. So before I get into the specifics, I always like to talk about who I am and why I'm here. Why am I the one speaking to you? Who's this random girl on my Zoom? So first of all, before we talk about me, I want to talk about my company. We are a full circle digital agency, and we provide services end to end for e-commerce as well as other types of businesses. What makes us different is we really do think about everything that has to do with digital marketing to provide that full circle approach that really helps grow businesses, create loyal customers, and everything in between. So we'll talk about that in more detail. A little bit about myself. I've been in digital marketing since I was 16. I would go around to businesses and teach them literally how to tweet, like write them documents on what buttons to click and how hashtags worked. So I've been doing it for a while. I won't tell you how old I am, but it's been a while. And I also run a worldwide awareness organization for ostomy surgery. If you don't know what an ostomy is, Google it. I'll probably show up. And that's my free time project. I've been doing that since 2009. I was also recently named an extraordinary Canadian by a really well-known journalist in Canada. If you're not from Canada, you don't know who Peter Mansbridge is. It's not that cool. But if you do know who he is, it is a little bit cool. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell. A little bit about our team. In order for us to provide the full circle approach to digital marketing, we have a lot of different people on our team. We have a project manager, we have digital strategists, we have designers, developers, advertisers, And we even have a customer service team, and we do content creation as well. And I'll talk about why all of that is important under one roof. There's a little video about who we are. You'll see it. If you want, let me know. I can send you our deck and you can meet the team. Don't have time for this 5-minute video. Oh, does it let me switch? There we go. Some of our reviews and the clients that we've worked with, like I said, not all of them are e-commerce, but for the sake of this, we will talk about our e-commerce clients. And partners and certifications. Part of the full circle approach is making sure that you have the right connections. I saw Chloe here. Chloe is the partner manager from Clyde. So she's one of the apps that we work with and offer to our clients, which is a big part of making sure you're covering all your bases on e-commerce. Just a little bit about what we've done. There's some case studies. My favorite one is Thigh Society, which is a undergarment that protects from chafing thighs. Very seasonal. We're coming into the warmer seasons. If you're a bigger woman and your thighs rub together, you know how difficult wearing dresses and skirts can be in the heat. And we really took them on and basically did everything. Customer service, email, ads, website, end to end. And this was just a really fun brand for us to work on. We've also worked with subscription clients, which is kind of a whole different ballgame when you're thinking about how to advertise. I don't know if there's any subscription-based businesses here, but it's really not the same. And how you have to think about it is a little bit different. So we worked with Carnivore Club before they got bought out by another company, but that one was really fun too. Okay, so what is a full circle approach? And why am I talking about it today? So I'm not gonna lie, I fully just came up with the actual definition of this like 3 days ago, which as a business owner and me talking about this is probably not the best idea, but it really has been the basis of how I've built in social since I started the company almost 6 years ago. For us, we put everything end to end together to really ensure that not only are our brands strategically creating content, strategically putting out messages, but that it's a really good experience for our customers. So I came up with the definition of the full circle approach is engaging strategically and cohesively with your audience on every touch point your brand can and should exist on to foster credibility and build a loyal customer base. I assume it has to be one giant run-on sentence for it to be a good definition. So hopefully that made sense. For the rest of this presentation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about all the different touch points that we as an agency work with our clients on and how all of those pieces kind of interconnect. One of the things you're going to notice is I'm going to repeat myself a lot because just because we're doing something on one area doesn't mean we're not doing it on another. And you'll notice that I say, well, this team and this team and this team. So I apologize in advance, but it all comes back to how everything ties together. So first, you have to start with a strategy. And this is what I say to every single one of my clients. Yeah, you can hire us, but what the heck are we going to do? And a lot of how we offer our services is both on a pricing and package-based model, or we do a retainer. And, you know, it all depends on your budget. It all depends on what you can afford and the time that you could put into these efforts. But more and more, we're finding that the retainer model really works because we need to blend our efforts together. To have clients come to us and say, I want one email on, you know, this month, I want some social posts on this month, I want this on that month, that's not going to make any sense. And so it's really important to even starting this full circle approach and making sure that you are touching every place that you can exist online, you have to think about how those pieces work together. So for us, and sorry, I realize that this might be a little distracting now, my little GIF at the top, is that you have to start with your strategy. And we do this every single month at InSocial. Every month, we have this document, we call it our strategy matrix. And in that matrix, what we do is we break it out into 3 columns and a bunch of rows. The 3 columns are as follows. The first one is what has or hasn't worked last month and the KPIs and insights that we're managing. So because we're working a month or thinking a month prior, if we're going to our June meeting, which we're coming up to really fast, we're looking at May's insights. From there, we go to ideas for next month. We always like to plan at least a month in advance. If you're not planning a month in advance, there's no way you're going to have a strategy. You're basically just going to be catching up to yourself constantly, day over day, project over project, that you can't think about a strategy. So we always start a month in advance. So when we think about what we're doing, we look at the insights and KPIs, and we look at how those worked or didn't work. We apply it to our next month's strategy. Then our third column is future high-level recos, we call it, our recommendations. This is where our team kind of just dumps ideas. So let's say you're randomly looking at a brand that you like, kind of related to your brand, not a direct competitor, but you really liked a campaign that they did for Mother's Day. One of the ones that I really, really appreciated was for Mother's Day, a lot of brands started sending out emails before Mother's Day saying, hey, we're going to send out an email for Mother's Day, but if you prefer not to receive it, you can opt out of that email. Some people have lost their mothers or don't appreciate that kind of content. Myself, I lost my father when I was 19. So coming up to Father's Day, in my head, I'm like, which clients are even going to want to talk about Father's Day? And maybe this is an idea we should apply to certain clients. So last month, we got that, and we would have put it in our matrix so that when we come up to this month, we say, hey, client, this is an idea we kind of thought about a little ahead. We parked it on the shelf, but it's time to take it off the shelf and apply it to what we're doing next month. Now, the other part of the matrix is those rows, and that you'll notice is all your touch points. So even for our clients that we're not managing all of their touch points, you better believe we're taking a look at what they're doing. So usually we have our overall, what are our overall insights and KPIs? What are our overall strategies? What are our overall ideas? And then we break it down into every touch point. Social, email, advertising, web. We even have design, influencers, customer service. And all of those pieces then have their own box in each category. Now, what's a little annoying but incredibly important is how those boxes interconnect. So let's say we have an idea for Father's Day where we want to tell people, hey, you can opt out of these emails for Father's Day. Well, of course, it has to go in the email row because we're going to plan to do it for next month for email. But are there other places that message could work? Maybe it's worth putting it out on social. So we put it in the social box. And then the client will see, well, it's actually in both boxes. And we mention in both boxes, hey, check out our idea in social. Hey, check out our idea in email. And that way our team knows this campaign touches multiple places. Now, you have to spend the time to write out your ideas, especially if you're your own business owner, you don't have a team, or maybe it's you and one other person. Sometimes it just helps to literally write it down. You can't do everything if it's in your head, you might forget, or it may not really make sense until you write it and then step away and look at it again and realize maybe this doesn't make sense. Maybe it's not even manageable for me to do by myself. But trust me, if you're not writing out your ideas, start writing out. Next is plan how each idea can be implemented on each channel. So not just the idea of, hey, for Father's Day, opt out of an email. We send out an email and we post it on social, but how are we actually going to do it? Well, maybe we want to send a branded email. Or for some of the brands that I saw, they actually sent a really, really simple text email. What matches your brand? And then if you're doing it one way, like are you doing a very design looking email? Well, let's make a social graphic that matches. Not only are those messages going to be cohesive on both those channels, but you can use the graphics in multiple places. So especially if you're hiring a graphics person to do it for you, I'll tell you a secret, it's not that hard to repurpose one design for another platform. It does still take time. I'm not going to take away from that, but it's definitely easier to repurpose one design into multiple places than make them from scratch. The other piece that's really important is to actually analyze the data. So yes, you may be writing out, oh, I got 10 new followers on Instagram. Oh, I made $1,000 off this email. But actually look at what that means. Oh, this email did really well last month. We're talking about May. But let me look at April. What emails did we send in April and how did those do? Oh, the emails in April actually did better. Well, let's take a look. What did we do in April that we didn't do in May? And why did those perform better? Now, as Alana probably knows and talks about too, is there's no answer. There's never an answer. All there is your best guess. But from a strategy perspective, the best thing to do is to keep trying. So if you know that your emails in April did better than May, take those pieces. Take what you did in April and try them again in June. Are they going to do as well? If they do, hey, maybe you're onto something. But if they don't, well, maybe it was a fluke. Maybe you had a different discount code. Maybe you've been emailing people too often. Of course, it depends and it's always changing, but the fact that you're keeping all these notes and you're keeping all this data and you can go back and look easily because you've written it all down can be surprisingly helpful. The first part that I want to mention is a cadence. We like to plan, like I said, a month in advance because for us, that's manageable. It's enough time for us to collect data. It's enough time for us to plan in advance. It's enough time for us to coordinate with our clients, and it doesn't make us crazy. We've worked with clients who prefer every 2 weeks, which sometimes is a little bit much. And maybe for you, you want to plan 6 months in advance. I'll say 6 months is a little bit too much because you won't be able to iterate as quickly on the data that you're collecting. So at a max, I would say plan 3 months ahead. But the best case that we have found is you plan every month and you take ideas and you stick them in that high level ideas bucket just when they come to you, and then you can pull them off the shelf every month. And then basically you just do this all over again, month over month over month. So let's talk about how to do it on each platform. Let's talk about social. I'm not going to go into like how social media works or the ins and outs of Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. I'm sorry if that's what you were hoping. But from a high level, these are the areas that we focus when we're thinking about our strategy for social media. What is our strategy? Let's go back to that strategy matrix and figure out what we wanted to do. And let's figure out where else it's going to be done on our other touch points, because those have to match. Which channels are we posting on? How often are we going to post? The number of posts, and then what custom graphics, videos, animations you want to include in those posts. Again, go back to that matrix and take a look. Did these colors pop more? Did we get more likes because of that? Or did this content happen to get more comments? You know, we asked our audience to engage and they did, so we should do more of that, right? Then you have to think about community management and proactive engagement. Community management is where you respond to your comments, your DMs, anything like that, that falls under community management. Proactive engagement is actually, I don't know a lot of places that use this term, but it's a term we use, where we go out into the social media ether and find relevant people, businesses, communities to engage with, where our team spends time to actually go out. So we don't just react to what's coming in, but we proactively go out and talk to people. This part will be a little bit important later, so keep that in mind. But what's really important about this is think about how these social posts relate to the other things that you're doing. Let's say you want to post on Facebook and you want to offer a sale, but your sale is only going to be available for VIP customers because you're going to send an email to your segmented list of VIP customers. Well, if you post it on social, is it going to make sense? Because you're going to see people, or people are going to see it who aren't VIP customers. Well, maybe it makes sense because it's going to make them jealous that they're not VIP customers, or maybe it's going to make them mad. So it depends on your community, it depends on your customers, but you really have to think about how those two pieces connect. Let's say you want to put a special bundle together. You know, just for this month, we're combining a bunch of products and it's going to be 10% off using a product bundles app. Well, if you're going to post about it on social, where are you sending those people? Are you just sending them to your site to find all those products or find the bundle themselves? Or maybe you're going to make a landing page that when someone clicks, immediately they can click add to cart. And that goes back to how web is important. So when you're thinking through your social posts, think about how all the other channels impact what you're going to post about. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to keep repeating myself. It all connects. So bear with me. Another piece that's really important is photography and videography. A lot of the time, and we've worked with clients who have some really great external photographers or videographers, but we found that the messages that came through the content didn't match the content we'd been putting out. And the content we'd been putting out was in line with what the client wanted. We had one client who hired another videographer to take a video. They were a pizza vending machine, and they had a videographer film a video of someone getting pizza out of the vending machine. But the whole time, the person looked really upset. Like they were just standing there waiting. And it was supposed to be 3 minutes, like super fast. But we said to the client, we can't use this. This person looks like they're unhappy to be getting your product. Now, if we had coordinated with this person and talked about the messaging and maybe even talked about what we wanted to post on social, maybe that videographer would have thought a little bit more about how to direct the actor who is ordering the pizza. If you're doing it in-house, think where you're going to use these photos and videos. Are they going to go on your website? Are they going to go on social, email? What are the messages that go behind the content? Now, one of the big things that I think it's gotten more accepted, but there's still a lot of people who are like, product photography, I can take these myself. You would be surprised how important the photography is into creating conversions. If your product photography is blurry or dark or fuzzy or just doesn't show the product in a use case that people would understand, people aren't going to buy it. Most of the time, people are just looking at content. They're not reading. Sometimes they read, but most of the time, they're just looking at the photos. So make sure that the photos actually match what you're trying to say. Now, some other important pieces of content that you can put together are testimonials, UGC. We are a partner of Okendo, which is a great reviews app, and they actually collect user-generated content. And what's great about this app is when someone submits like a photo or video as part of their review on your product, they basically sign away their rights. So you as the merchant get to own all that content. So that's a great piece to consider. The other thing is, like I said, use cases. Make sure you're showing your customers how they would use your products. What would they use them for? Maybe you actually want to show people enjoying the fact that they're getting a pizza out of a big metal box. Who would have thought? Influencer management is also a really important piece of content creation and spreading your brand. But this can also go really wrong if it's not managed properly. So we've had some clients where they hired college student to reach out to people on Instagram and get them to post content for free product. And unfortunately, the content just wasn't great. The influencer didn't know how to take great photos. They didn't really care. They were getting free product, but they didn't even send the message that they were supposed to send. So this goes back to, what are you posting on social? What is on your website? Making sure that what you're asking your influencers to do matches the other pieces that you're promoting. So when you're talking to influencers, make sure they know and you know what the goal of this influencer management is. What do you want them to do? What do you want them to say? Maybe even send them some of your social posts or some pages on your website and say, hey, this is who we are. This is what we're about. This is some great info for you. Make sure the influencers are fully briefed on who you are. We like to put together an actual influencer brief that says, this is the brand, this is the voice, this is the photography that has worked in the past. Make sure you match the color and the tone and all of that. But these influencers, especially these days, they're asking for money. Make sure you're actually getting something good out of it. A key piece that a lot of people don't even think about, and this is going to come up again, is that you should have your customer service team or your social team ready to engage with the influencers' posts. So at InSocial, our customer service team, we call them our digital support squad, actually handles most of the community management, answering comments, answering DMs, all of that, while doing online chats and emails. So if you are paying or even giving free product to an influencer to post about your product, and that influencer is getting a ton of comments, why wouldn't you as the brand go and engage with their followers? They're talking about you. You should be there. You should be engaging with them because they may end up being a customer. So make sure that there's a timing. So if you know that this influencer is going to post at 2 p.m. on Saturday, make sure you have a team member ready and waiting to see that post go up and engage with all the comments that are coming in. And also make sure you build an influencer request protocol. This is a big one. A lot of the brands we work with get wannabe influencers coming in. And we have a protocol in place that they have to have a certain number of followers, a certain engagement rate, and have a certain level of quality content that matches each brand. It's different for all our clients. Some of our clients are like, yeah, give free product to someone with 500 followers. Other clients are like, don't even talk to me unless it's 50,000 or more. So make sure that whoever's answering your social comments or handling your chats or emails knows what this protocol is and knows who it's worth bringing up to, and then passing them along either to the client or your team who's handling influencers. Let's talk about ads for a second. So this is really, really important when it comes to digital advertising. You are paying for people to see your content. It's not just posting on your organic pages. Those just go up. Yes, people are seeing it. But when you run ads, especially on Facebook and Instagram or TikTok or Pinterest, you're literally paying for people to see the whole conversation happening below. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a sec, but the biggest thing about digital advertising is leveraging the organic content and user-generated content from the other things you're already doing. If you posted a social post and it organically got 100 likes, well, that's telling you automatically that your audience really liked that content. Why wouldn't you then pay to show that same great content to people who don't even know who you are? If it worked for your existing customers, why wouldn't it work for people who don't even know about you yet? Have your ads team talk to your social team. Make sure all team members are actually briefed on what's going out on digital ads. This is the best one. And I have my customer service and community manager, Sarah, here, who knows exactly what I'm about to talk about. But too many times we use Gorgeous. We're a Gorgeous partner as well for customer service. We've had customers come in and say, hey, I was supposed to get a discount and the code's not working. I didn't get it. And then we find out that the code's not on the website because no one set it up in Shopify. Meanwhile, this client's ads team is running ads promising $10 off to all these people. So now we have no idea what's going on. We have to go to the client and say, hey, why is everyone asking for this discount? Should we be refunding them? Our organic social team, who's doing the organic social but not the ads, is like, why are people commenting on our organic post saying they didn't win this prize that they thought they were going to win? So make sure everyone who is touching anything related to social and ads all know what's going on because it all connects. Also, make sure access is given to each team member. And by access, I mean a clear line of communication, but also the ability to actually engage. We actually have full ads manager access to any clients whose ads we're not managing so that we can respond to comments. You actually don't realize that Facebook won't let certain people even see the comments if they're not given full admin permissions. It's a recent change, it's really annoying. But make sure everyone who should be able to see comments and respond to them has the access to do that. Fully briefed on the offer goal. Make sure, again, everyone on the team knows what you're offering. If you're offering $10 off through a digital ad, well, should that be on the website? Should we be posting about it on social? Should there be an email that goes out about it? Why not leverage a discount if it makes sense? Now, a welcome flow where when people give you their email and they get a discount, that one doesn't need to be posted everywhere. Maybe, you want to post it on social here and there to encourage people to sign up, but that one necessarily doesn't need to be promoted too much. On the flip side, if you have a Mother's Day campaign and you're only doing digital ads, maybe the people who are just coming straight to your site direct, they wouldn't even know about it and then they bounce without purchasing. Why wouldn't you have a banner on your site or copy on your site or an image of the product that says, Mother's Day sale? Make sure that everyone who's promoting this offer is included where it can be promoted. And then make sure there's a clear communication protocol. So at In Social, we're 14 people, and we'll probably be 20 by the end of the year, but we're still a pretty small team. So everyone's talking all the time. We have Slack, we talk in client channels, we talk in our own channels, we talk in DMs. We have a video call that's on every day where we're on Google Meet and we all just hang out because we haven't been in an office since March 2020. But if something comes up in an ad, and our CS team sees someone commenting that they're confused, our CS team will be like, hey, ads team, someone's confused about this ad. Maybe you want to update the copy. And our ad team will go, cool, I'll make a change now. And then it happens almost instantaneously. If you have different teams managing different types of services for your business, either make sure you're available to coordinate that messaging or create an introduction. We've worked with other agencies, no problem. We have no problem doing that, as long as the client is okay with us doing that. But someone needs to be able to make changes when real-time issues are popping up. Now, again, if people are seeing a discount and it's not working, or an ad is confusing and people are commenting, you're paying for people to see those comments. And if you don't respond to them, all these potential customers are going to see all these other confused or angry people. Why would you want to pay for that? You don't. Let's go to email. Email automation and campaigns are another place where messages can be confusing. First of all, it's another place to leverage your organic and paid efforts and your CS efforts. So let's talk about automations. For anyone who doesn't know, an automation is an email that triggers based on someone doing something. A campaign is one that you decide to send out at a certain date at a certain time to a certain group of people. But if we're talking about automations, actually, let's talk about campaigns. When we send out campaigns, we usually do it for promotions or a special offer or holiday. But we're looking back at what has worked in other areas. If we know, again, that a certain design style really speaks to our customers on social, or a certain way we've written copy really works in ads, we would leverage that kind of messaging into a campaign. As well, we'd look at our segmentation and look at our list and say, hey, it looks like women aged 30 to 50 seem to be engaging with our ads more. Maybe we need to segment just for women for this sale. Now, one thing that's really important about email that a lot of people don't know is you can hurt your sending domain if you send out emails and people don't open or click them. Sometimes it's better to not send an email than to send an email and it fail. The more emails that you send that have less than a 20% open rate and a 2% click rate, Google and AOL and Yahoo are going to be like, no one's interested in your emails, and they're going to start filtering you into spam on your domain. So you want to make sure that if you're sending a campaign, it's to the right audience, sending the right message, and it looks good. So why not use data from other sources to make sure that you're hitting that mark? Also, make sure your CS team is aware of what you're promising in email, because usually the reply email ends up in the CS box, right? So again, we don't want to have a client send out an email without telling us, and then everyone say, hey, I got this email, but the discount code isn't working, or does it work on this product? And we're like, oh, looks like an email was sent out. We weren't prepared, right? Make sure that that's clearly communicated. In terms of automations, make sure you share your automation maps with the team. A lot of the time, people will email and say to the CS team, hey, I was supposed to get a code, but it's not working. And then we go into Shopify and we realize, well, they already used their welcome code, their welcome flow code like a month ago. What discount could they possibly be talking about? And then we realize, you go into the abandoned orders. Oh, they got an abandoned cart discount. That's what they're talking about. But we had to spend all that time trying to source what code they're talking about. If we have the maps of all your automations, like who's supposed to get what when, depending on what they do, our team is already going to know when to expect someone. Oh yeah, they got this email, they abandoned cart. We know that this email goes out 2 days later, blah, blah, blah. And we can check that. Also, make sure your social team is aware, and your ads team, especially your ads team. This doesn't work as well anymore, but it used to work really well, where we would time our remarketing ads to our abandoned cart ads. So people would see the same content in an abandoned cart email that they would see in a remarketing ad, and we'd hit them in both spots, and it would look the same and it would say the same. And they'd be like, okay, well, I can't forget this brand now. I've seen the same thing twice. The algorithm on Facebook has changed a little bit, so timing the remarketing ads isn't as easy as it used to be, but that doesn't mean that sharing what you're doing in your automations isn't going to help your ads team. Again, make sure that your team is all fully briefed on what the offer and goal is, depending on if it's a flow or a campaign. And again, clear communication protocol between the team and the team members, right? Make sure everyone knows what's going out when, so they're all prepared. Now, one thing I didn't put here, but if you're using Klaviyo, we're also a partner with Klaviyo, is you can actually leverage email lists and segments into advertising. So again, if you have a different team doing email and another team doing ads, you could leverage a campaign and put that into your Facebook ads. So let's say you're sending out an email for Father's Day, and it's a special offer, get a Father's Day box, $20, for the next 2 weeks. Well, if you're going to send an email to 20,000 people just about that offer, why not also remarket to them on Facebook? And you can do that by pulling that list from Klaviyo directly into Facebook ads and saying, hey, Facebook, go after everyone who got this email. You can actually do that with Klaviyo if you didn't know that. Let's talk about support. So customer support is the heartbeat of any brand. And if you haven't noticed yet, every time I say every team should know what's going on, customer service is really the team that needs to know everything. Now, we at InSocial, we don't outsource our customer service. We all have college, university educated team members who are all based in Toronto. We train them really, really hard. We make sure they know how to write. We make sure they know how to think critically, because at the end of the day, they're going to be the ones to identify trends and issues and send it to the other team members. So again, make sure your CS team is in the loop. If they know that an automation is supposed to go out and then someone complains that they didn't get their welcome code, CS is already like, that's weird. We know that we launched that email yesterday. We launched the flow yesterday. And then oh crap, or the person doing the email forgot to turn it on. We actually had a situation where a client had another team do email and they forgot to turn the flow on. CS team found out, we let them know, boom, it was turned on automatically. Actually, I think we turned it on, but still, same thing. The customer service team will also connect the communication dots. And this is my favorite thing that we do it in social that I cannot stress how important it is enough. Let's say someone complains on a Facebook ad. Oh, I got this product and it was broken and I'm so mad about it. I spent so much money. Well, our team, our customer service team, would be the one to respond and say, hey, let's say Kelly. Hey, Kelly, we're so sorry to hear about this. Why don't you email us so we can take this offline and sort this out for you? So Kelly goes from Facebook and emails the customer support team. Well, our customer support team already knows that we're waiting for an email from Kelly. When Kelly emails us, our team goes, hey, Kelly, we saw you on Facebook. We're so sorry to hear about this. Let us send you a reshipment. Not only are we resending Kelly a new product, she's like, oh, wow, they're actually listening to me. They followed me through where I was complaining and now they're helping me. So it's a really great way not only to de-escalate a situation, but to show your customers that you care and are listening and take them seriously. You know, too many times I've been in a chat where I complain on Twitter and then they go, send us an email. And then it's this other person. It's like, how can I help you? And I'm like, I just told the whole story to someone on Twitter. Like, I have to say it to you again. Like, I'm so tired. You know, you're so tired when you're mad at a company because they mess up and they shouldn't have. So just really hand holding them through the process really helps build loyal customers. Your customer service team can also direct customers to do other things like sign up for emails, follow on social, or even share discounts and sale opportunities. What people forget is customer service, especially in these COVID times, are essentially your retail team. Let them upsell, let them create this experience for your customers that you couldn't do unless you were in person. So if the CS team doesn't know that you can sign up for emails and get a discount, if they don't know that we're going to, send exclusive discounts via emails, or a sale is coming and, the client has said, yeah, if people ask, you can let them know to wait a week, that's another way that your customer service team can build this relationship with your customers. How cool would it be if you were asking about a product that you weren't sure about getting, and then the customer service team helped you understand, yeah, okay, I think I could buy this product. And then they say, wait till tomorrow, there's going to be 10% off. How happy would you be with that brand? You would go back and you would talk to them, you talk about them to your friends, right? The other thing that's really important is really having fun with it. I don't know if you can see the little images I have on the side here, but this is my absolute favorite story of our customer service team. So we have a client called Triple Bristle, because you can see it says Triple Bristle team. And someone commented on Instagram, this is a gorgeous notification, saying, I'll need you to reply to this next Thursday when I get paid. He commented on an ad. So our team snoozed that notification in Gorgeous, because you can do that. On Thursday, our team got the notification again, went back to this comment and said, hey, it's Thursday. Lo and behold, the customer then comments on a YouTube video like a week later, I think it was, saying, I just placed my order. I asked your IG rep to message me a week later when I got paid, and they did. LOL, thanks. We just converted that customer because we had fun, we engaged with him, and we personalized it. You'll also see people are saying, I appreciate how Triple Bristle keeps solid communication with comments. Says a lot about a company. There's so many ads out there and so many comments, and I will look and I will see if their team is responding to comments. And if they don't, do they really take their customers seriously? I don't know. Probably not as much as we do. Last one is web. Think about web. So the website is your hub of all the information. It's easy to see something on social and miss it in email or get an ad and not see it in other places. But your website is where everyone ends up, right? So you want to make sure that all the information that should be there is there. So for instance, consider web implications for all your marketing activities. Like I said, if you're promoting a bundle that's, a certain number of products, well, are people going to be confused on where to find it and then message your customer service team and add all this time to your customer service team just to direct them to where to buy the product? Add it in your banner, add it in the announcement bar, say, hey, special discount on this bundle. Make sure you're hand-holding your customers to what you want them to get to. Again, your ads and CS team should know the website inside and out. If your ad team is creating sales funnel through Facebook or Instagram or whatever, they need to know where to send people, what products to send them to, what pages might be confusing, all of that. Your CS team should know the FAQ page, should know, what the products are, of course, all of that, but easily be able to say, hey, this might not be the right product for you. Try this one. Similar to a retail team, you got to know your products and the store online inside and out. Keep the entire team in the loop for any website changes. So we're a partner with this app called Farah. Sorry, we're a partner with like every app. And they have this cool thing where you can overlay these offers or discounts or special kind of incentives depending on each user. So they're very dynamic. And we have one client where I think the shipping threshold is $60. So if you get to your cart and you're below $60, the app will say, hey, add these products so you get free shipping. Now, for some reason, the app like glitched on somewhere. I think the prices changed, and the customer said, hey, I was supposed to get, these $3 off or something because it was giving me an offer, but it's not working. And the customer service team was like, oh, well, this must be on the website. Let me talk to the ads and web team and see if that has anything to do with it. Lo and behold, the ads team knew exactly what this customer was talking about. The customer service team was able to help this customer. They got that discount. They were happy. All was good. But if the customer service team had no idea what was going on or didn't know who to talk to, they may have been like, you're making it up. Like, sorry, I'm not giving you a discount. Again, how upset would your customer be? Probably not very happy. And then, of course, if you're adding FAQ or you're updating the about section or you're adding products or taking down products, keep the team in the loop. Your social team needs to know if you're adding new products. Your email team needs to know if they should be promoting a new line. Your customer service team needs to know the products inside and out. And your ads team probably wants to promote the new things that you've just added. And again, clear lines of communication. Make sure that either all your agencies or your team internally or us, we're all connected so that if one thing changes, it's going to affect everything else. So, are you full circle? Q&A. There we go. That's it.
I love it. Thank you so much. That was amazing. I was just responding to a couple of questions too, and I'm like, so the one that just came in, can you share Farah a little bit more about Farah? Because that's a new one that I actually haven't heard of, but I know of them enough to be able to say, here's what it is.
Sure. Okay. So I don't even know how to describe it because it has so many different things, but essentially it's this widget or this, I guess, this app that adds widgets to your site without needing, you can custom code it, but you don't really need custom code. So some of the things that it does is like you can show an announcement bar to people who have spent X amount of time on your site. So you can say, oh, if someone spends 5 minutes on my site, have an announcement bar drop down and give them a code for $5 off, right? Because they're clearly interested, but nothing's pushing them over. Or again, like you're so close to the shipping threshold, but you're not there yet. Here are some products that can get you over it. So like literally there's a million different things you can do, and you can add custom code to it. But if anyone wants more information, like we use it all the time. Happy to help with it.
I love it. And I did share a handful of apps that you mentioned in the chat. So those of you who reach out to these apps, make sure you let them know that In Social sent you to them, so that way, sometimes, I don't know, I might be stepping on this, but like sometimes you can get discounts if you use your referral codes and whatnot. So I would highly recommend that either you reach out to Sarah, who's in the chat with me. Thank you so much, Sarah, or Jess, and they can definitely make sure that if there is a discount that you could get that, because I know that sometimes that's a big deal.
Yeah, and you get special treatment because you're coming from us. Our partner managers are very nice to our clients, so we love them.
I love it. So I have a couple of questions that have been asked as you've gone along here, Jess. If you have questions and you haven't asked them, now is a chance to put them either in the chat or the Q&A, and I will definitely get to them. But let's go ahead and start getting through it. And I must say, y'all, if you guys weren't taking notes, I can't wait for you to get the video of this later, because I took so many notes just for myself as my own, like being a marketer, and it's amazing. So nice job, Jess.
Thanks.
Okay. So in your very first slide, the strategy slide, you had mentioned, or you put on there, an Airtable. so I use Airtable as well for all of my marketing ideas. Have you found that most of your clients also use Airtable, or is there another tool that you might recommend that is easier to like navigate than some random
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah, Airtable's a lot. We basically have trained our clients to just use it, but we also set up our templates. And every time we send one for the first time, we're like, this is how you read it. And then they know from there. But it's a very robust tool. Like even I sometimes am like, I don't even know where to start on a new template. But I really like it for our social plans because you can plan out your graphics a little bit better and you can comment on the graphics, which is harder to do. Like we used to use Google Sheets, but this adds that extra layer of like commenting and tagging and all of that stuff. So I like it.
Yeah, I like Airtable too. I upload all my images that I use for that post so that it's an easy way for me to reference it again. So if you're not an Airtable user and you're interested in exploring it, I highly recommend it, but it can be a bit much sometimes.
Yeah.
So someone asked, what key performance indicators do you pay attention to when analyzing your data?
Oh, good question. The answer is going to be annoying. It depends. That's always the
Always.
answer. It depends on the platform and it depends on the brand. So, there's benchmarks that like Klaviyo will actually give you benchmarks for your industry to start from. And usually we do that as a base. We always go to like, what are the Google benchmarks? What are the Klaviyo benchmarks? All of that. And then we compare that to what we're doing. And then if we hit those benchmarks, then, sorry, my kitten is biting my ankle. Stop it.
She has a really cute kitten, y'all. You need to find and follow. Is it public on Instagram?
It's Riley Heist. Yeah, I'll send it after.
I highly recommend it.
Biting me. Like, so we start with the KPIs of the platforms, and then if we beat them, we then go and beat them ourselves. So like for Klaviyo, for instance, open rate and click rate, you need to have good ones. Like I said, your domain will literally be shut down. So that's really important. For social, usually we do reach and engagement, different for stories. If you have links in your Instagram stories, so it really just depends on the channels. And then always good to start from what the platforms give you, and then just beat yourself every time.
Nice. And then Chris, I just wanted to address it because we talked about Airtable. So Chris had asked about, is Airtable similar to Asana or Trello or Later? It's different. I mean, they all kind of
You
work
can use
together.
it.
Yeah, I actually have. So I use Trello for I use Airtable as my content organization. I also use it for my customer management systems, my CMS. And then I've seen other people use it for like actual project management. I didn't find it very friendly. That's more what Asana and Trello would be. So you can use it for a lot of different things. I look at Airtable as kind of like a hyped up version of Google Sheets.
Yeah, like really. Like,
yeah. It's kind of fun. Okay, cool. So I think that was that one. Diane says, I own a fashion jewelry online business. In terms of growing my engaged followers list, I have been trying to follow other businesses in fashion jewelry and their followers. Is that a strategy that helps to gain engaged followers? And would you follow clothing businesses and other fashion related industries and their followers as well?
I would say yes, but keep an eye on the type of people that you're following and getting, because what people don't really realize is the more followers you get, the harder it is for a good engagement rate, right? So you could have 500 followers and then like a 20% engagement rate because Instagram's like, oh, that's not that many people to show your content to. But if you have 50,000 followers, you're going to get like 1% to start, like minimum or maximum, I think. So you want people who, if they're going to follow you, are going to want to engage, right? You don't just want a bunch of followers and then like no likes on your stuff. Then it's going to look weird.
I find it useful to kind of do that strategy when you're first starting out, when you're trying to see what people do engage with or don't engage with. So if you start to follow other people and you can kind of keep an eye on how much engagement they get, I do find that being valuable. But I would agree. Yeah, it's a fine line to walk.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so is there a cadence that you recommend for pushing out content on various channels?
It depends.
Don't you love that answer?
It's like I find it annoying. part of the cadence is the time you can invest into it, honestly. Like if you're not able to invest a lot into like good product photography and content, don't blast it all out immediately, right? It's better to post less and have really nice posts than to just be like, oh shit, sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear here.
You could swear. It's fine.
Like
I'm
I
making
gotta
the rules
put
as we go.
okay. I gotta put random content together on Canva just to have something posted, right? Like, don't do that. But you also want to have a little bit of consistency. So you kind of have to plan in advance, look at the kind of content you have to work with. And then if it changes month over month, that's totally fine, right? Oh, maybe I'll only be able to do, one a week this month because I don't have a lot of content, but I'm doing a photo shoot next month. Maybe I can slowly ramp it up. I wouldn't go from like once a week to like 3 times a day. And I wouldn't really do 3 times a day unless you have huge follower numbers. But look at your engagement and reach rates. That's the answer.
Well, and I think it's a valid answer, right? Because everyone's different. I know people that send emails out once a day, and other people that do it. I do mine weekly. Other people do theirs monthly. Others do it quarterly. There's no right or wrong answer. Like it does depend on you and how much you can produce it, right? Like that, it could be a lot of content for people to do daily if they're already bogged down. Yeah. So I think it does depend for sure.
Yeah, I think the biggest answer is the thing that I'm doing valuable? And if not, don't do it.
Yeah, that I think is the summary of like every marketing technique.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully I'm saying your name right, Vertika. Do you have any suggestions for pre-launch strategies to build a prospect list or anywhere that we can check out? I've been trying to find and also learn what Canva did, but it's so secretive.
Oh, a pre-launch strategy. Okay. I guess you can't answer, but if it's a pre-launch strategy where you like have a landing page versus an online store with a sign up to be notified when we launch, like those are 2 different kinds of things. Ultimately, if you're going to try to get people to sign up, what are you giving them? Are you giving them $20 off when you launch, sign up to be alerted? Are you giving them enough information about what they're going to get $20 off of? Like it depends on how much you're able to give, but you need to have enough information for someone to find that it's worthwhile to give their email. And you also need to be relatively close to launch. Like nothing is worse than like, oh, we're going to be ready in 3 weeks. And then, oh crap, we're not ready. We need another 3 weeks. And then you just push everything back and then your email list gets stale and they're like, oh, I signed up for this. I don't even care anymore. Right. So you have to kind of time that. And then the other thing is, I always it's not even just about email. It's just about Shopify as a whole. Like just because you have a store doesn't mean people are going to find you. You need to advertise. Like you will not be successful if you do not have an agency who can help you advertise. So get emails by advertising for emails.
Yeah. And I think there's also a lot of tools that are out there, right? Like a Kickstarter, for example. There's a reason why these things exist to help with your pre-launching. So I think it does also depend on, are you like pre-launching as in you're reinventing the wheel here that you need like a Kickstarter, or are you launching like just another product to add to your store that you can advertise already? You already have an audience that you can advertise to. So I think there is, and maybe if you have added context, you're welcome to chime in if you have more things you want to add to that, Vertika. But like, I think there's, like you said, it always depends,
That's why people are like, marketing gurus don't know anything. Because it all depends.
Just start easy out. That's what it is. Kate says, what is the best approach for attracting influencers and reaching out to influencers for brand endorsement and collaborations?
Oh, okay. There's a lot there. Depends on your product. Sorry, every time I say it now, I'm just like cringing. I'm sorry. And it really depends on the offer. So in the influencer space, like I am an influencer. I have a bunch of followers, but I don't really like do a lot of collabs because I don't want to be too collabby, but a lot of influencers in the space are not doing for free product anymore if they're good. So if you really want someone who the purpose of getting them to promote you is to promote you, then be prepared to pay. And then also be prepared to manage them if you're paying. Like if you're saying, hey, I'm going to pay you $200 to post this, they better let you tell them what they're supposed to include. You don't need to tell them exactly because they know their audience, but you need to be able to have some say in like approving what they're going to post. That's pretty normal for influencers that work with bigger brands, so they're used to it. If you are going with the free product approach, the best thing that's worked for us is we offer free product just for content. So we don't actually ask them to post it, but what that does is it gives us content for our website, for our social, and for our ads. And I don't know if this is going to last because now everyone's going like back out into the world, but since the pandemic, our influencer like creative has really worked best on our ads versus the highly produced content. I think because everyone's just used to being stuck at home and it feels more authentic. So that's kind of our goal for clients who don't have the budget to pay influencers. We just say, let's give out free product, get them content. And that's what we're going to do from the strategy.
I also am a big advocate. You just said the word authentic, and it made me think of this. Like, I'm a big advocate for building your community as a way of marketing without having to pay for ads, right? Like, if you build a community, it just kind of happens organically. So I've actually worked with clients before who have told me that they have influencers now that came up organically. And it was because they created this community where this influencer wanted to work with them. So the influencer actually reached out to them and not vice versa. So I think that's another strategy that we really didn't talk about much today on that perspective was around
much
building
to
community.
Fit in.
I know, right?
Alana, I need another session. We need to do a whole
could
training
do that.
on each one.
But I do think that that's a piece of it too. You know, when you try so hard to sell, people will see that coming. But if you create the community where people naturally gravitate to you, sometimes influencers just happen to be there. So it doesn't, I mean, it's not always going to be like that, but if you can, that's the ideal probably.
Well, I like to call those brand ambassadors because they're people that have, you know, used your product and just really like you. So that's, to me, that's a little bit separate in terms of category, but 100% agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hamad says, how do you go about planning your content strategy?
Well, we start with our strategy matrix after looking at all our data. And then we identify what's coming up. Is there a holiday? Is there a promotion that we want to do? Is there any new content that we have, and you know, anything new? And then we look at what's worked in the past. So, you know, we found for one client that doing one testimonial a month is enough. If you do more than one, too much, they don't get engagement. We found that 3 product related posts is enough. It gets enough engagement. You still have to talk about your products. You are a brand. If you don't, like, you're definitely not doing it right. But how many can you get away with per month before people get annoyed? And then you just have to plan all those pieces. Where do they fit so that on Instagram, do they look nice, right? Like, what color is this block versus this block versus this one? What are you asking people to do? Are they more likely to comment because you're asking them to comment on a weekend? You know, do you find you get more comments when you post on a Saturday versus a Tuesday afternoon, right? So use the data to actually tell you when things work the best.
What I'm going to add to this too, because I get this question a lot from my clients. How do you decide what to put out there? Like, how do you decide what content to write about or what images to use? Like, why do you pick this one over a different one?
Well, part of it is like, how many of what type can we do? And then the next piece of is, what do we have to work with? What do we don't have? Like, product photography can be used very quickly. Do we need a lifestyle shoot? What's the season? Do we create that kind of stuff? Are we just finding, you know, there's a trend? You know, are people posting a lot of memes? Do we have clients that are okay with memes? Do we make our own memes that are following trends? It really depends. But it has to be a mix. I think that's the key, is like, as long as there's something that gets people to want to follow you. Like, if you were not following your brand, what would make you want to, right? And it's not product posts. It's look at someone using this product, but like, they're really, you know, I aspire to be this person and they happen to be using the product, but you're posting it, versus here's a new product, here's all the details about it. You still need to have some of those, but what's the balance?
Yeah, and really the product should be solving a problem. So if you're showing these lifestyle images or this reason why this person is doing whatever it is they're doing with your product, then if I interpret what you're saying, then it essentially solves the other person who's watching its problem too. And that's why they're going to want to engage with that more than just being sold, like, here, come buy this thing.
Yes, exactly.
Jacqueline, hi, Jackie. She wants to ask, what is a good way to get organic engagement? It seems like it's a lot harder to get good engagement as of lately.
Yeah,
That
it's the
struggle's real.
content. Yeah, it's the content and it's the timing. So what works, like I said, what works best when, and testing and retesting and, comparing your results. But honestly, 70%, and I'm pretty sure this is like an actual number that Facebook has given. Don't quote me on it though. From an ads perspective, is that the creative is 70% of the ad, which an ad is in your feed. So why wouldn't that be the exact same thing about Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, right? Like, what is actually being posted? Is it visually appealing? Is it nice, right? Like, does it spark joy in your eyes that gets you to want to hit the like button, right? So that's the big piece. And then a caption that's spelled correctly and grammatically correct, like, that makes a difference, and then hashtags obviously, don't use hashtags on Facebook. They don't work the same way. It's just, every time I see a hashtag on Facebook, I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. And you don't even need hashtags on Twitter anymore unless it's a specific event, because hashtag search algorithm is actually really good. It will pick up just terms in a tweet, but you use hashtags when you're trying to follow an event or something specific. But Instagram hashtags and TikTok hashtags, it's usually good to do a mix of, like, ones that have a lot of people on them, and then a couple middle tier ones, and then a couple like, oh, there's not a lot happening here, but I'll live on this hashtag for when someone looks at it.
I've also had a lot of people talk about, like, being controversial in some of that content to create that organic engagement, right? So if you post something that's controversial, you're more likely to get engagement because people have a reaction to it. Have you found that to be successful, or do you typically advise people to not do that unless they really want to engage?
Well, isn't that why Facebook has to, like, go to Congress? Like, isn't that the whole issue? I mean, at the end of the day, should a brand be partaking in political or reactionary topic? It's up to each brand. But know that your brand is then taking a stance and you're going to isolate or alienate some people because of that. It's better to post funny and or heartwarming stuff than controversial, right?
Yeah.
And you can go for it. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, really, you totally can. I think what I've been noticing is that some people do it and then they're like, oh gosh, what was I doing? Why did I do this thing?
Yep. Like, we had a client who, on her full own recognizance, thought this was a good idea. She had a competitor in Australia. She was based in Canada, who, like, full on ripped off her brand. Like, you could tell, but figured, oh, I'm in Australia, like, it doesn't matter. And we found them. And then she posted this thing on the Facebook page as her, being like, attack this brand, like, they were trying to steal us, like, all this stuff. And then she had a lot of followers. Like, we had a really engaged community. But then the friggin' brand owner got a cease and desist letter from the brand in Australia. Like, was it worth it? Was it worth it? Like, you really got to think about the full circle and then beyond of the consequences. So
we have one more question, but we still have time. So if you have questions, now's your chance to put them in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll make sure to get to them. Emily says, you mentioned links in Instagram stories. I didn't know you could add links there. I'm always telling people to click on the link in the bio because I thought that was the only direct way to drive them to my site.
You can only do it if you have 10,000 followers or more. That's the answer. Yeah. So get to that nice 10,000. Yeah.
Well, and then they also, I've noticed too, because I don't have that many followers. I'm not that cool, but you can follow me on Instagram if you want to. I've noticed too, they've opened up some stuff for businesses, but it's there, like, there's features that are there, but you can't actually use them until you reach certain things. So I think that they're trying out different stuff sometimes. Who knows what they're trying to do, but yeah, it's limited.
The story of Facebook and Instagram, it's literally every day my ads manager is like, well, we could do this yesterday, but it won't let us do it today. So we're just going to abandon it.
It's so true. I was actually tagging somebody in a post because we were doing a joint thing a while ago. And I have a business thing that I could tag business partners on it, but I couldn't actually tag anyone. And I was like, why is this here if I can't actually tag anyone?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think that was the last question. So, no, you're not the only person that's frustrated by Instagram. I think that was the last question. So, Jess, thank you so much for being here. We're so appreciative. I think this was really enlightening, and I know I got lots of notes, and so I really appreciate your time. Can you really quickly, do you have a contact slide that we could put back up for those who want to reach out to you?
Yes. Let me. Oh, I just want to make sure I'm showing the right tab.
Sorry, I should have asked you for that.
There we go.
There you go. So here's her information, and I highly recommend you reach out to Jess. And either Jess or Sarah has been in the chat. Thanks, Sarah, so much for your help as well. So definitely reach out. And like I said, this is recorded, so I will be sending this out to everyone maybe this afternoon, evening, depends on how quickly it get it done. But you will for sure be getting a feedback request as well. We'd love to hear your feedback so that we know what works or doesn't work going forward. So
I would love that. I love data if you didn't know that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you everyone for being here, and we will see you in a couple months.